Well, since you're all so compliant, we'd better get started. Good afternoon, everybody. In all seriousness, I am delighted to welcome all of you, and it's great to see this magnificent crowd, to UMB's Founders Week, and specifically to our Entrepreneur of the Year lecture, honoring Dr. William Regine. This tradition of recognizing our inventors, our innovators, is especially important to a university like ours that's trying to build a campus-wide culture of entrepreneurship and to more effectively support a very entrepreneurial faculty and a very entrepreneurial group of students. We know that there are breakthroughs happening in labs across this campus. We know that our faculty and students are, as we speak, designing technologies and therapeutics that will advance human health and well-being. And we know that if we, as the leadership, don't do everything possible to move these discoveries out of the lab and into the marketplace, potentially millions of people will be negatively affected. That's how important this work is. So it's very fortunate for us that we've had a long line of Founders Week Award winners deeply dedicated to translating their research into science that benefits us all. And several of the entrepreneurs we've honored in years past have recently celebrated breakthroughs. For instance, our 2008 award winner, neurosurgeon Mark Simard. Mark, are you here? Has, together with his company, Remedy Pharmaceuticals, recently completed phase 2 trials for a stroke therapeutic. And they're headed into phase 3 trials now. So we salute Mark. I see Dr. Scott Strom here, previous winner, co-founder of an extremely successful company, Glicknick, which is housed in our biopark. Our 2014 award winner, cardiac surgeon James Gammy, and his company, which I'm sure you've heard a great deal about, Harpoon Medical. They've been all over the news. Harpoon has raised over $17 million for its device that enables minimally invasive mitral valve repair. And trials with 20 patients are already showing outstanding early results. Just this summer, the FDA approved a cholera vaccine that our 2009 award winner, Dr. Mike Levine, co-invented with his colleague, James Caper, in the School of Medicine. And finally, last year's winner, Chris Meenan, is here with us today. Chris, hope you're here. Chris and his company, Analytical Informatics, continue to expand their customer base and their product line of software tools so they can revolutionize healthcare IT. So, Dr. Regine, as you can see, we don't consider Entrepreneur of the Year some sort of lifetime achievement award. It's not a capstone. You have to keep going, like the people I mentioned. We do expect, I would say on behalf of the university, some truly amazing things from you and from the Maryland Proton Treatment Center for many more years to come. And I've known you for a lot of years. We share Kentucky, so we know each other well, so I know you're going to deliver.
There's no question in my mind that the reason that the Maryland Proton Treatment Center exists today is because Bill Regine made it happen. It's an idea that he presented to me 10 years ago and seemed at the time like a crazy idea. And you see, this is how crazy ideas, when allowed to ferment and to grow and to get nurtured, can eventuate into something that is so very positive and so very impactful in our campus. A little more than 4 years ago, we all celebrated the commemoration or the groundbreaking of this project. Behind the scenes, however, Dr. Regine and his team in the Department of Radiation Oncology has been working tirelessly for more than a decade to bring this center to fruition. In collaboration, in collaboratively designing, launching, and running the Maryland Proton Treatment Center, Dr. Regine has faced obstacles, as you might expect. However, every issue that came up, he had a solution. Dr. Regine's style, as many of you know, is relentless, purposeful, dynamic, and with an infectious enthusiasm. He brings great passion to many responsibilities, yet he always maintains an incredible commitment to not only his work here, but of course his family, his patients, school, and the university. So with that, as a brief introduction, Dr. Regine, it's my great pleasure on behalf of the School of Medicine and of the university to congratulate you in being the 2016 UMB Entrepreneur of the Year. Congratulations.
So I'm going to imagine I'm back to living in my house, because I'm not going to use a microphone. And just to give you a little story how loud I speak, Julie, my wife, is here, which I'm really excited about, my girl. First time she came to my house, I have an Italian house, we're sitting at dinner, and she goes, "Why is everybody yelling?" That's the way we speak. I'm not going to use a microphone. And when I got to put my slides up. Let's see. So what I'm going to do in 35 minutes is really share the journey that enabled me to get in front of you. And if I do it in 35 minutes and it seems it was easy, it wasn't. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of obstacles. But there were two things that really made it happen. One, I had the good fortune of being surrounded. I've always been lucky in terms of being surrounded by very passionate people who were also willing to share a vision with me of doing one thing and doing it every day, and that's trying to bring hope to cancer patients. Not only the cancer patients we see and treat every day, but the patients we will treat into the future, and for patients around the world. So President Perman called me about 3 months ago. We have known each other for a while. I didn't think he was going to just give me a casual call to say hello. And he says, "Bill, I just want to tell you, you've been named Entrepreneur of the Year." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I couldn't understand it. And I said, "Jay, I'm going to have to look up the definition." So this is the definition of it. And by the end of this talk, I'm going to try, if it's okay, since it's my day, I'm going to change the definition just a little bit. But there's definitely some risk in this project. So when I left Kentucky, Jay, this was a gift. This is a saying and a picture that sits on my desk. And that, to me, what I love about it more than anything is the eagle. Okay? And when people come in my office, and if you come to my department, you will feel that we are all focused on flying higher than anybody. That's what the eagle do. It's the highest flying bird out there. And we always want to fly higher than anybody in radiation oncology. And what I also like about the eagle is his eye. He never loses focus on what he's trying to achieve, and we've embedded that in our mission statement in radiation oncology. We're completely focused on providing excellence across our academic missions, but completely surrounded on the difference it makes in the lives of patients. So I came here in 2002, and the first one or two sentences of my offer letter says, "Dear Dr. Regine, we're happy to offer you the position of Chairman of Radiation Oncology. We expect you to make us top 10 in research funding in 5 years." And I'm driving, it's a pouring night, the night before Christmas, and I tell Julie, my wife, "Oh, by the way, we're ranked 41st. Fortunately, in 2006, in 4 years, we managed to achieve top 5 ranking. And then my old boss, the dean, literally spread that word around the country to medical schools. And I get a call from the then president of campus, David Ramsey, and from his assistant. It says, hey, President Ramsey just came back from a trip, and he'd like to meet with you. I'm like, oh, okay. Been here 4 years, not really talked to him. He's got to congratulate me. That would be nice. It's right across the street at Davidge Hall. So I go across the street, and not once did he congratulate me. He literally said, hey, Bill, I just came back from a trip to Japan, and I saw this amazing proton therapy center. And could you do me a favor? In about a month, could you tell me why we at Maryland should or should not have a proton center? And I said, you know, I literally had just been recently asked to go with the chairman of Harvard and give a presentation to a bunch of investors in New York and to talk about what the future potential was of proton therapy. And I said, heck, I could do it in a week. And literally a week later, I'm sitting there, and it's President Ramsey, it's Bruce Gerald, who's been there from the beginning. He was representing the dean's office at that time, and I had Kevin Cullen, our cancer center director. So in terms of what was happening in the U.S. in terms of Proton Center, I quickly told them there were 5 centers at the time, 5 that were under construction, and 10 institutions had made commitments to build a Proton Center. But most important, what I really wanted to focus on, what is the benefit for patients? This slide shows it all. So this is a patient who needs a spinal tumor treated, and this is a sagittal slice down the middle of the patient, and this is an axial CAT scan through the chest of the patient. And color on this slide is radiation dose. So you can see with protons, you give the dose to the tumor or to the spine, and there's no radiation dose to normal organs beyond that target. So no dose to the intestine, no dose to the heart and lung. And with photons, even though you get the high dose in the spine, you're getting some low dose exposure to these organs. And like he thought, and I want to make sure you guys realize, he said, why the heck would anybody get that radiation? And the truth was, there were in 2006, there were significant advancements over the previous 15 years in photon radiation, one being the ability to deliver a very fine photon beam to shape around the tumor, and the second, the ability to do what we call image guidance, where we can scan a patient right before the beam comes on and make corrections. Well, with those advances, really that dose was insignificant for many patients. Proton therapy in 2006 had been around and FDA approved first in this country in 1988 and was lacking in both of those advancements. So what I said, and I told the group in New York, is probably with the type of proton technology available in 2006, only about 5 or 10% of the cancer patients who needed radiation therapy could benefit. And what I told him is, look, I think some institutions are probably going a little bit too fast, and based on my research, I expected that in the next 5 to 10 years, there would be advances in proton therapy to match what's happening with photons, and now you could benefit 20 to 30% of the cancer patients who need radiation therapy. And amongst all cancer patients, about 60% need radiation therapy. And when I said, look, we've now taken a leadership role in research that we're recognized for, in the Mid-Atlantic, we should be the first to bring this technology. And this slide shows you what is in the Maryland Proton Treatment Center and the 2 advances that are now available in a center like ours, and the first one has on the East Coast. So what you saw was that was a 283-ton gantry, takes 2 minutes to spin around, and the first thing it does is it takes a CAT scan, right? That's the image guidance. And with that, if the patient has moved at all, you can make immediate corrections before the beam comes on, and just as even more important, to extend the potential group of patients we can help. When the patient's lying on a table, they're breathing. So if you have a tumor in your upper abdomen or your lung, when you're breathing, the CAT scan now allows you to correct for that motion. So you can correct for the tumor moving right before the beam comes on and be even more precise. The second advancement you're going to see is the very fine proton beam, as opposed to the big splash that was delivered with the older technology. So this is called pencil beam scanning, and you can literally shape much more finely to the contour and shape of the tumor. That takes about 2 minutes. Each patient needs about 2 or 3 fields, so it takes about 30 minutes to treat a patient in total. By the time they're in the room, patients don't feel it, they don't see it, and they definitely tolerate treatment much better. So and everybody always is smiling in today's pictures, but they weren't always smiling. I had to like do a lot of Dr. Gerald was always smiling. So I literally had, hey, what does it mean for our patients? That was the message I had to get to these people. And one, I said you'd have state-of-the-art technology you'd be bringing to the patient. You'd be advancing, and we would be advancing cancer care with our faculty in terms of research and education and training. Really important is we would now have a tool that was complementary to the toolbox we have at the Greenbaum Cancer Center to fight cancer. And I promise you, there's no greater hope you can give a patient than them to know that you have every possible tool available to treat their cancer. And we would clearly draw international recognition. You're going to see some of that at the end. And there would also be a halo effect from which all of the institutions on this campus could benefit. And I'll give you an example of that towards the end. Everybody's smiling. There was a little bit, good luck, Bill, because the first challenge was it costs typically over $150 million to build a proton center. And everybody kind of backed away. I didn't see anybody putting their hands in their pockets. Go ahead, Bill, go find it. And with that kind of investment, you have to have a high volume of patients to make it worthwhile. So clearly, the definition of risk was in this journey. So the first thing I wanted to do was start doing site visits at major academic centers that had this. And we did site visits, I was told, different than most other people. And it just reflects the passion and the aim for excellence. So I would bring typically 8 of my staff with me. I had a clinical director, I had a physics, head of dosimetry, nursing, therapy. And what I told folks to do on our site visit is, well, we were going to drive the agenda. And that rather than just listen to what was good and what worked, I really wanted to focus on listening to these folks on what didn't go well and what is it they wish they could do better. Because in the end, we need to do it better. We want to fly higher than any other group. And the interesting thing, if you look at the models of financing, most people don't realize this. The MD Anderson Proton Center is investor-owned. And they partner with the MD Anderson Hospital to build to have their proton center. Bob Prenzicare? Oh, it's too bad. Yeah. Oh, Jerry, here, give them a message, because in their model, if you show success, there's an option to buy it and own it. Hopefully that'll happen. So within a year, people heard we were interested, and we signed our first letter of intent with a group called National Proton Therapy Center LLC. That's a pretty high-flying name. We thought, okay, this is a good group to partner with, and we agreed on some basic principles. They would finance and own the center. We would be responsible for the clinical management and professional services, and most important to me, we would determine what were the staffing ratios across the center and what level of infrastructure they would have to provide so that we could provide excellence in care and in our driving our mission of research. That was the most important to me. Now, one thing they wanted us to consider, and I'm not trying to offend anybody from College Park, but they wanted to have the center in College Park. And I was a little uncomfortable about that because when we went on our site visit in Florida, we saw that was a challenge. Florida center is in Jacksonville, and their main cancer center is in Gainesville. It's about an hour and 40 minutes. And we clearly got the feeling it was not very well integrated. So we didn't really want to do it. So for 2 years, we're working in design of the center. And here's actually the National Proton Therapy Center. And you can tell the grass and the size of these trees. This is in Baltimore Street. So this is College Park. On this drive, which is about an hour from me, I drive, I think, a little fast. I did so many times, and so many of you took the drive. We put chairs in buses. The dean came down, president came down. We had investors back and forth. It was a lot of work. And it all came to an end, at the end of 2 years. And it came to an end because we were keeping our eagle eye on what ultimately we wanted to do. We wanted to have a center of excellence. And literally at the time we were going to extend the agreement to break ground, the lead developer turns to me, and we had created an addendum that was going to be part of a contract, and the addendum state what was the ratios of nurses, like what was it, the ratios we need to be a center of excellence, and he said, hey, Bill, remember those ratios you wanted and that infrastructure for research? We're going to let the investors decide that. I'm like, where do you think I grew up, man? Like, it was like, that's some bait and switch, I think they call. And I really think what he thought, the leadership above me had invested so much time. I think he thought that they were going to say, Bill, don't worry, just do it. And I'm going to give Dean Reese a lot of credit here, because he really stood behind me and said, Bill, I know what excellence is, you know what excellence is, and you left it to me. That was a little bit gutsy, because everybody on campus was pretty sad that fell apart. I looked at my group, I said, look, we got out there, we networked a lot, and people would come and want to partner with us. And sure enough, literally within a month, a new developer group came, Maryland Proton Treatment Holdings, and they had a model that made a lot of sense, right? Their model was to partner with nationally recognized academic programs. I'm told there's business people here. So if you look at success in a proton center, which is treating from a financial point of view at least 80 to 100 patients a day, the only centers that have had that success are the ones that are born out of national academically recognized programs. And I kept it simple. We had blood, sweat, and tears for 2 years. I said, you see this addendum? I said, if you agree to all this, we can work together. And we went right on, and they were willing to share a vision of excellence, and excellence in providing a unique public-private partnership that was going to deliver very personalized and precision medicine to proton therapy. So a for-profit entity in the Maryland Proton Treatment Holdings, partnering with our School of Medicine and our faculty, non-for-profit, all focused on defining what were the patient-centered, or what is to be the patient-centered benefits for proton therapy through collaboration within the institution and outside the institution. So for the business folks, here's the volume pro forma for the Maryland Proton Treatment Center. And by the way, I'm glad a lot of my staff is here, because I don't know if all of them know this story. So if you take a midpoint, a radius that starts between Baltimore, Washington, 200-mile radius, this is the second densest population in the country, almost 50 million people. If you go down to the number of cancer cases diagnosed annually, and then 60% need radiation therapy, and you assume only a conservative 20% will benefit from proton therapy, that's about 28,000 patients a year who benefit from proton therapy. And our center has the capacity to treat a little close to 2,000. So there were more than enough patients to make this work. So like I said, where are we going to build the center? We talked about College Park. We even talked about Maple Lawn, which is an area between Washington and Baltimore in Howard County. But thanks to President Perman and his right and left hands, Jim Hughes and Jane Schaub, we were able to negotiate a deal with the developer, and it is in the biopark, which, to be honest with you, makes the most sense, right? So this is Baltimore Street. We're in this building. Here's the Proton Center. Here's MLK, and here, and a block and a half away is our medical center. So this really allowed us to integrate our center with our medical center and with our Greenenbaum Cancer Center. All the employees in the Proton Center are medical center employees. It really works well integrated the center. So along the way, I got to meet some people who were just as passionate as me, but also pretty smart too. So we had a press conference. Across the hall. Elijah Cummings, that's the first time I met him. He's sitting next to me. He's got this paper and he's got a speech he's going to say. And what I was impressed with is he's listening to the institutional leadership that's speaking ahead of him, and he turns to me and goes, and at least says, I don't need this. And he throws it down and he gets up. And I hope you can feel what he obviously felt and get what I'm trying to get you guys to understand in terms of feeling the hope this center brings. So listen to what.
So excited about this. When I found out about it, I changed my schedule so I could be here. And I'm excited about the jobs. I really am. And I'm excited about this biotech park and how it's coming to life. But you know what excited me more than anything else is the hope. So excited.
So he got the hope, and he was also excited about the investment into the biopark in West Baltimore and the numbers up here in terms of construction costs and construction jobs. But when we're all fully operational, 170 new jobs, and we will actually have retail space and hopefully a nice restaurant that will benefit our patient needs. So for 2 years we went on to design of the center, and we had a groundbreaking. And again, this is a video I show, so I hope at the end of this conversation with you actually feel the hope this center brings. So at that time, we had the then Chancellor Kerwin, I'm so happy you're here, Britt, come up and speak at the groundbreaking. And he was not speaking as Chancellor Kerwin. He was speaking as a caregiver who had experienced with a cancer patient what it meant to have hope. And it would become a tradition in our department, in any of our center, when a patient finishes their course of radiation therapy, they ring a bell. And ringing that bell becomes a big moment, and it symbolizes for the patient the hope that comes with knowing they got the best possible treatment. And listen to caregiver Kerwin describe the experience.
Thank you, Bill, for that wonderful introduction. Usually when I'm asked to speak at events like this, I speak as the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland. But today is very special for Patty and me because we speak together as a grateful patient and the grateful spouse of a grateful patient. 16 months ago, Patty was diagnosed with cancer. This is the second time she has received this chilling and depressing diagnosis, the first being 20 years ago. Strong woman that she is, she didn't flinch. Her spirit and her determination to fight on has never flagged. Our great good fortune is that when she got the diagnosis, she was in the loving, caring arms of the Greenbaum Cancer Center and the Department of Radiation Oncology.
Words cannot convey the love and appreciation that I feel for those who provided the sensitive and exceptional care I have received at this magnificent hospital since my diagnosis. My heartfelt thanks go out to many, beginning with Kevin Cullen, Kate Tatchik, Ashraf Badros, and Bill Regine. I also gratefully thank the nurses, technicians, receptionists, secretaries, and other staff who have unfailingly demonstrated their compassionate love and attentive care. I have no doubt that I would not be standing here today were it not for all these people and this magnificent institution. I truly owe my life to them.
I want to say a special word about the treatment Patty received from Bill Regine, Mohan Sunta, and their team in radiation oncology. For in my book, they set the standard for patient care. The very name, radiation oncology, quite naturally is a cause for anxiety. But from our first visit, they turned that anxiety on its head. As you enter their space, and it's not a basement, I want to correct that. As you enter their space, you come into a brightly lit reception room, which is actually an attractive atrium. There you see patients and staff sitting together in conversation, sometimes even holding hands. It doesn't take long before you realize that you have just become part of a caring community, in many ways, part of a family. But it isn't just the compassionate attention Bill and his team offer. It is also the expertise and precision of the treatment patients receive from a stellar group of accomplished professionals. We reached a point where we actually look forward to the visits. Well, I guess that's easier for me to say, since Patty was the one getting the treatment. On the final day, at the end of her last treatment, she walked from the radiation room, and the staff gathered around as Patty and I rang the bell. What an emotional moment that was. So we are here again today, together, with Patty in remission. And once again, we get to ring the bell. But we want all of you to ring a bell with us. At your chairs are little bells. Please take them and hold them in your hands. We ring these bells, not yet, in just a moment. We ring these bells as a symbol of praise for the quality of care given by the radiation oncology department. We ring them out of joy for the thousands of lives these talented doctors, technicians, and staff have saved. And we ring them in hope for the advances in patient treatment that they will achieve with this magnificent new proton therapy center. So let's all get ready. Patty and I are going to count down, and when we get to the moment, please ring your bell. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the bell ring!
All right, you could feel that, I hope. Okay, and thank you for that. So that was an exciting day, and you have your ups and you have your downs. And within 24 hours, I get a call from Mr. Krenzik, our system CEO, and he said, "Hey, Bill, great event. Got a little problem I need help with." I'm like, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, there were some of our CEOs from the hospital, and they're a little bit worried that the Proton Center is going to cannibalize their photon therapy business. I need you to come speak at our medical system board retreat on the Eastern Shore and talk about the halo effect you described to me." So I think with smart guys, you better keep it very objective. So I literally shared the halo effect from numbers that were given to me from the Penn system. So Penn opened their proton program in 2009, and at the end of the first year, their photon program grew from 75 to 200 patients a day, while the proton program had been about 35 patients a day. So if you remember what I told you, protons should benefit at least 20 to 30% of patients. Many patients were coming in, and the patients who didn't need to benefit stayed in the system. And that's already what we're starting to experience. If you look at what continued to happen at Penn, by the end of the second year, Jerry, 21% growth in prostate cancer. By the end of the second year, 12% growth in brain tumors and GI malignancies, and almost a 40% growth in lung cancer by the end of the second year. So, mission accomplished. Gained full support of Mr. Krenzik, and we could not have done this without Mr. Krenzik and our medical system CEO support. So over the next 2 years, the ground is breaking, building is going up, we're having topping off ceremonies, 90 ton of equipment is being delivered for over weeks at a time, all going well. And just so you know, the financing hadn't been completed. Okay, and that's always a back and forth. And at one point, to really seal the deal, the request from the investor partner was, "Hey, we need a document that says you really have your colleagues behind you." So I want to thank my chairs from the other specialty at university. I know Scott Strom is here, one of the folks. And literally, we had a board meeting. And I had to get their support, and they signed off on a formal support of having the Maryland Proton Treatment Center. And in part, I think they also understood that there was a halo effect beyond cancer. Many patients would come into the system and would need the help of all of their specialties. And then the final thing they asked for, I said, "Hey, you need a formal letter of support from your medical system board." And great, I would say the role model of power of partnership, Mr. Krenzik and Dean Reese managed to do that convincing and heavy lifting. So part of being an entrepreneur is figuring out what other people can lift for you. So that was great. And then it really came together, and Jerry, I really want to thank you. I say this all the time. Jerry at the time was representing both the medical system and the School of Medicine. And Jerry really put the final touch together. And Sarah Hutchison, who's not here, representing the Developer Investor Group, a lot of phone calls. These two really worked hard. And Jerry came up with the brilliant ideas. And it was literally Jerry's lingo was like, hey, why don't we just meet? Let's meet somewhere we could be off-site. So he picks Union Station in D.C. And we're sitting at a table. Jerry's ordering drinks. And literally the finance deal is complete because of Jerry. So thank you, Jerry. So we close the deal. The center gets billed. And we treat the first patient. I'll remember this date like I remember the date of the birthdays of my kid, February 23rd, 2016. And the reason I said that, I literally am going off to treat the first patient, and my wife Julie says, good luck, I can't wait to hear how it is. I come home that night, and she goes, so how was it? It must have been amazing. I said, you know, Julie, I know I'm a man, but this is the closest I can imagine what it must have felt like to have a baby. Julie said, yeah, but you have too much. Right, I did. So let me tell you a little bit of some of the unique things of our center that helps set us apart in trying to do things better. So our vision was instead of to be just the University of Maryland Center, we wanted to be a regional resource to providers in the region, and we really wanted to work with players as partners. We also have a unique throughput system that can help drive volume through the center, which I'm going to demonstrate. And it was all about, again, right, being the highest flying eagle of all the eagles out there. So this is the regional partnership model. So here's the Maryland Proton Treatment Center. Our first formal affiliate partner is from Georgetown University, which means Georgetown University has a couple docs who've gone through the training that my docs have gone through, and now they are up here 1 day a week bringing patients from DC who could benefit from proton therapy. Second group is from WellSpan. That's based out of York, the health system that serves South Central PA, and they now bring physicians once a week, taking patients and making it accessible to patients in those regions. And I expect by the end of the year, a large health system in Northern Virginia will start bringing their physicians and patients up here. And I do expect a large health system in Baltimore City, who we're already partnered with in Howard County for photon therapy, will be fully engaged with us. Now, when we went on the site visit, I said, let's learn what people don't do so well. So it was interesting to me. I trained in Philadelphia. When we went to Penn, they have a community network of facilities that are directly affiliated with Penn, like we do here in Maryland. Here's our 4 centers across this region of Maryland. And when I asked some of those folks, hey, so what's it like to have proton therapy available downtown when you're working out in the community? They're like, Bill, you know, we listen to the lectures, but since we don't use it, we don't think about it. So we're the first center where we literally have a representative physician from each one of our community sites who's gone through the credentialing and who spends at least a day a week in downtown Baltimore in our Proton Center, really trying to be patient-centered and make it accessible to all patients in the region. So one of the unique programs we create, trying to, would you say, turn that stress upside down, is thanks to Jill Rosenberg and her team. We've created a concierge program. So when a patient gets referred to see us downtown Maryland, they're met at the front door. It's free valet parking. Someone grabs you by the elbow, walks you to your consult, and out. And it really is a phenomenal experience. It really reduces stress, and it's amazing. Patients literally say, how much is the cost for a friend? So it's no charge, right? It's about pay to go. I have great staff that volunteer to be on our concierge team. So this is the throughput model. We're the first in the country to have this. And what you're going to see is these are the treatment rooms. And outside of each treatment room, there's a patient loading bay and an unloading bay. So the patients are set up outside the room, then brought into the room. You'll see green flash. You see the beam come on. Meantime, another patient's ready. So this setting up and unsetting outside the room really increases your capacity. So when you couple this with our regional partnership model to drive volume, we're only the second center. There are now 22 centers in the country where we are now cost neutral with our proton therapy compared to getting radiation therapy at the medical center. And that does well when you're trying to partner with payers. This we also share with payers who are always asking, hey, where's the clinical evidence? Where's the research? And this is just a list of publications across different tumor sites in the last 2 to 3 years based on clinical trial work, which we will be a part of, that demonstrates the clinical benefit of proton therapy compared to conventional radiation therapy. This is a mix of the tumor types we've treated in the first 100 patients. Includes brain tumors, prostate cancer, and interestingly, if you listen to experts of where there are going to be the greatest growth opportunities, where protons can benefit patients, it's probably in the area of lung cancer, breast, head and neck cancer, and GI malignancy. So remember the definition, right? So I'm changing it a little bit because this was not an individual who brought this together, right? It was a team of very passionate people that I'm fortunate to always be surrounded by, who I want to thank for making this happen. And let me share this sort of a style I have that people buy into, which is a concept of shared vision and team leadership. And I got to thank Mohan Singh, who's standing back there. When we first came together in 2002, I can tell you as a chair, I could not have had a better partner. Talk about getting on the right foot. We clearly were completely in sync, and hey, it's all about making a difference in the lives of patients. I want to thank you, Mohan, for helping me get a great start. I couldn't have done it without you. But we've grown a lot since. Let me just talk about the growth. So this is the number of faculty. When I first started here, we had 25 faculty. We're now up to 62 faculty, and with the in 3 years, I'm projecting to be up to 85 faculty. And when you look at our total staff, when I first started here, 113 staff. We're now at 207, and in 3 years, 404. So I think President Perman, you said something like, I think you're worried about me not working. I'm going to ask you maybe, I don't know if you've given the Entrepreneur Year out a second time. I'll only accept it if it's a we award instead of a me award. This will be a we award, I promise you. So I need more than just, Dr. Sinta is now chief of the medical center, so I need more help to replace Dr. Sinta. So here's all the leadership and folks who helped me in our department in making things happen. I don't have enough room to get everybody up there. So I just want to thank all of them for making all of this possible. And now one more video. So I hope you really will feel what excellence and hope for patients about. So this is the first pediatric patient we treated, 5-year-old girl who came from Australia, not just because of the technology, but because of the expertise in terms of our faculty and because of the innovative patient care programs we have. So see if you can feel.
Meet the Melling family.
Rose Melling. I'm all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
You may think they're tourists just here to have a good time.
People are so polite in the street. Even the drivers are courteous to pedestrians. Amazing. It was all really welcoming.
But this was no vacation. And for the parents traveling halfway around the world with then 5-year-old Phoebe, 4-year-old Ollie, and 16-week-old Archie, it wasn't just a challenge.
Flying wearing masks all the time, so that she was protected, and all those things had to be considered.
But a life-saving journey.
We first thought she had a cold, and we found she had the virus, so we thought that she had the same thing. She had quite small symptoms.
Phoebe, Rose and Andrew Melling's oldest child, was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer in her sinuses.
She had to have very aggressive treatment with her chemotherapy, and that wasn't something we could weigh into. It was a set protocol, and we just had to follow that protocol.
Phoebe's mother is a nurse and knew traditional radiation therapy could cause short and long-term side effects. A concern she discussed with Phoebe's oncologist.
Originally, Phoebe was going to be treated with proton therapy, which actually would have exposed her whole brain to radiation and her spinal cord.
Elaine Kelly is Phoebe's grandmother.
Roslyn, having a medical background, would sort of debrief him.
But the oncologist told Roz that there were other options for treatment.
We began our own research and started looking into what the other options were.
That research brought them to the Maryland Proton Treatment Center.
We found that quite a few children were heading overseas to be treated with proton therapy.
The Maryland Proton Treatment Center is the first on the East Coast to have pencil beam scanning integrated into every treatment room.
Given where her tumour is located and the important structures around her tumour, like her eyes and ears and pituitary gland, we were quite concerned about this being a very accurate dosage of radiation, and so that's why we came to figure out that pencil beam technology was actually what was her best option.
And as soon as we've landed, we've had wonderful support here.
That support came from the team at the Maryland Proton Treatment Center and their concierge program. The concierge program provided the Mellings with options for lodging, transportation, information on local attractions, car seats, cell phones, and even groceries.
Just things like what to do today. There would be help with that. Someone would look something up or make a suggestion, and that was all really helpful.
Getting to choose to be a superhero is helpful for their spirits. Every pediatric patient gets to wear a cape to represent their superhero powers to conquer their disease. And thanks to the Children's Cancer Foundation, some big wishes come true for our littlest patients. Every pediatric patient, like Phoebe, makes a stop at Magic Castle Princess Land to make 3 wishes. The princess made sure Phoebe knew that she would get a wish granted on her last day of treatment.
They were wonderful to be. I think that the fact that the centre is here in the first place is amazing. It offered a treatment to our daughter who, might have had to have a different form of radiation that wasn't as good for her.
The Mellings' whole trip was about getting the best care for Phoebe by way of proton therapy.
It's all been positive, and the effects that she had from the treatment have been so minimal, so minimal. Perhaps a bit of cream for dry skin or a sore ear, that's all.
But her treatment became more than proton therapy. Phoebe and family truly bonded with her treatment team. Her physician speaks with her father 5 times a week.
The Proton Centre actually threw her a Hello Kitty birthday party. Happy birthday to you. And she keeps talking about this wonderful birthday party. Our experience here has been wonderful. I don't think we could have asked for anything more from anyone.
The faculty and staff of the Proton Center even learned the Mellings' vocabulary for cancer, such as lumpy bumpy.
She described her machine, her lumpy bumpy, as a sewing machine.
It was all really welcoming. We felt like, this was a good choice, and, anything that we could have possibly dreamt that we needed would have been helpful.
It's just the generosity of spirit in this place and the detail that they went to.
I think they've gone above and beyond.
They seem to not just give up 100%. It's more like they're giving you 200%. She didn't have a family here and then close friends, but she had another family here because this has become a family to her. It's amazing. It's an amazing journey, really.
A successful journey that led her back home and back to school only 1 week after finishing her proton therapy.
I can't quantify it. It's so important that this exists, and it's so important for the futures of anyone who's treated here.
Okay, so that's what I'm very proud of, that I brought here with a lot of help from a lot of people. So I got to do something that I get accused of not doing enough, which is, hey, you got to slow down, Bill, and stop and smell the roses. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. But one of the reasons I don't do it, just so people understand, I speak for all my staff. When I finished training in early 1990s, we were curing about 40% of the cancer patients we treated. Today we cure about 60%. That means 40% of patients are not being cured, right? So my group, we feel like there's no sitting around and trying to celebrate something until we're curing everybody. That's how high we want to always try to fly. So we'll smell some roses. The other thing I got to do is I got to thank my family, because you could imagine in that journey the tremendous balance I'm trying to keep between my work life, my daughters are laughing right now, and my personal life. And this is a picture about 10 years ago, right? They all have, we've all gotten a little older. They look a lot different, except for my wife, who's as beautiful as ever. She's like, I thank you for always being there for me. So I'm just going to end with one thought that you all should be proud of and you should all celebrate, and that's this concept of unity. This is a matrix organization. There are all kinds of leaders who can bring all kinds of egos. And I can tell you in other places this doesn't happen because the leaders can't figure it out. And here, the ability of this institutional leadership to come together in a unified or in unity is what really made it happen. So I want to thank them all. And as a symbol of that, when you walk out today, you're going to get a red and a white rose that symbolizes leadership. But before you do that, before I take questions, I got to say thank you to Nancy. Nancy, can you come up here? So Nancy is the person who put this all together. Believe me, it takes a lot of unity to make it happen. But it's also her birthday. For all of you making this possible. This could not, most people in this room somehow helped to make this happen. So I really appreciate everything, and thanks for being here.
I know we all want to get together with Bill to congratulate him, give him a hug, whatever, but he is willing to take a few questions or comments. Please. You're all convinced? Bill, I know I speak for everybody here. We're very proud to be on your team. Congratulations. We do need to smell some roses, and there is a reception which I invite you to across the hall so that you can offer Bill your personal congratulations. Thank you.
Yep.